Oh hey, it's Sabrina. So today I'm finally sharing with you my January and February wrap up. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started so I can tell you all the books that I've read the last couple months. Okay, so the first book that I finished in the month of January is Steve Alten's Meg, which is, if you don't know, about sharks. If you don't know what a megalodon is, basically it's a mega shark that was supposedly extinct thousands or even millions of years ago. They were around when the dinosaurs were around, but they survived a lot longer than the dinosaurs. Anyway, I have a super big fear of megalodons, and I have this theory that they still exist because we've literally explored like less than 10% of the ocean. We've explored more of space than we have of the ocean, so I am not convinced that they're totally extinct, okay? Anyway, I read Meg. That was the first book I finished in January, and I absolutely loved it. I read it because of one of my favorite YouTubers. I forgot her name. I'll link her down. Her name's Erica, but I forgot her channel name. I'll link her down below. But she raves about the Meg series constantly, and I got it for cheap on eBay, so I thought I would try it, and I loved it, and I'm gonna go ahead and read the second book sometime soon. Alright, so this next book I didn't exactly finish, but I read more than half of it, and then I was just like, no, I'm done. Like, I can't finish this, and I don't get the hype. I don't understand people like this book. And it is 1984 by George Orwell. I made a little deal with myself that if I could read a certain amount of classics within a year, then I wouldn't have to get rid of as many books as I was originally planning to when I moved into my house. However, I just couldn't finish this one. I don't get the hype. I do see why people think that this book is a little bit sexist towards women, but the main character was just not my favorite kind of character. Actually, he was pretty annoying, and I'm sorry, I couldn't finish it, so I ended up giving this book 2 out of 5 stars. Alright, so for the month of February, I read a total of, I think, 3 books. And so the first book that I finished in the month of February was Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. I actually super loved this book, like, so much you don't even know. I found that I really do enjoy Neil Gaiman books. Basically, this book is about Thor and Loki and Odin and all of the Vikings that, you know, are part of the typical Norwegian tales. So I really loved it. A lot of the stories that were in this book were stories that I hadn't heard of before, and it just made me love Loki even more. He's a true Slytherin, let me just say that. But yeah, I really love that book, and I ended up giving it 5 out of 5 stars. So I'm definitely going to be reading more by Neil Gaiman. The next book I read, I feel so dumb about because I didn't realize it was a second book in a series, but whatever. It's one of those series where you don't necessarily have to read the previous books because they spend a good chunk of the beginning of this next book discussing what happened in the first book, if that makes sense. So the next book I finished in the month of February was The Private School Murders Confessions #2 by James Patterson. I love James Patterson. Although I super love his books where he's written them on his own. When he collabs with other people, like, they're still good. But I don't know, you can just tell that there is another voice in there, if that makes sense. I enjoyed this book. I mean, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, which means it's like average in my book. But I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was super interesting. Like, you know, private school kids, and their parents get murdered, and then the main character's brother gets accused of murdering his girlfriend, and he goes to trial, and she's like somehow smarter than the police and like solves all these crimes, which to me is a little weird. But anyway, I overall enjoyed it. So if you're looking for like a murder mystery that's more young adult and not adult, like what most of the other books James Patterson has written, then I would recommend this one because it was a pretty decent read. And then the last book that I read for the month of February was The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, and I actually super enjoyed this book. A lot of the practices that she talks about, I don't know if I'm necessarily going to implement in my own life, but overall I felt it to be a very like great self-empowerment book. It has inspired me to do my own version of decluttering and cleaning up. The only thing that I didn't really love about this book was the fact that since it was translated, there's a lot of repetition and you read a lot of the same things over and over. So I found myself skimming a lot of the beginning. But other than that, I super enjoyed it. I think for the advice that's in there and the fact that it's a short book, I would recommend it to anybody, especially people who are struggling to get rid of clutter in their lives. I think it's a great book, and I ended up giving that one 4 out of 5 stars. So that is everything for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'm really hoping to read more books in the month of March since it is my birthday month. I'm so excited. But that is it. I'll talk to you very, very soon. And of course, thanks for watching.